I'm sorry to all my fellow Pittsburgh Steelers fans out there, but this is going to be a really tough season. I cannot see the Steelers having more than 8 wins this year. And I understand that Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season in all his years being a head coach in Pittsburgh, but one of the biggest life lessons that I learned in college the last couple of months is that everybody you meet has an expiration date. Everything that's good right now isn't going to stay good forever. And eventually, we're going to see the day where Mike Tomlin finally has a losing season. And I strongly believe that 2024 is going to be the year that it happens. It's a quarterback-driven league. You got to have good quarterback play if you want to be able to compete for not just a playoff spot, but a chance at making it to the Super Bowl. And most of the NFL's best quarterbacks reside in the AFC. And for Mike Tomlin to continue to win games and overachieve with bad quarterback play is something that is unsustainable. Justin Fields looks like the better quarterback than what Russell Wilson does right now. But even if you decide to start him over Russ or you start Russ instead, you're still going to be screwed regardless because neither one of these guys is good enough to give you good enough quarterback play that's going to be consistent enough for you to have a winning season when you think about how tough Pittsburgh's schedule is going to be this year. You only swept Baltimore last year because you beat them with Lamar. I'll give you that. But the second time you played the Ravens, it doesn't count because you barely beat their JV team. You don't get no credit for sweeping the Ravens when you beat their junior varsity squad the last week of the season. The Cincinnati Bengals, when you beat them twice last year, you didn't play Joe Burrow. You played Jake Browning. We, as Steeler fans, Steeler Nation, need to have realistic expectations for this team. If you really believe Mike Tomlin can overachieve again, you're drinking and dabbling in the Mike Tomlin Kool-Aid. This dude is Stevie Wonder when it comes to evaluating the quarterback position. This is the same dude who it didn't take him until the final 4 weeks of last year pretty much to realize that, hey, my third string quarterback is the best QB on the roster. He should be starting. This is the same dude that had the audacity to say that Mitchell Trubisky should be the starting quarterback because he had experience being a franchise quarterback before. When has Mitch ever looked like a franchise quarterback, Mike Tomlin? And that's not even the worst of it. He wasted, or this franchise wasted, a first-round pick on Kenny Pickett. You really mean to tell me that Mike Tomlin is going to find a way to sneak his way to 9-10 wins this season? I don't see it. I don't. The offensive line was getting abused and tossed around like a bunch of rag dolls against the Buffalo Bills in week 2 of the preseason. Broderick Jones got sunned by Gregory Rousseau. There are going to be a lot of young players that are expected to start on this offensive line. And when you have a young and mostly inexperienced offensive line, it's hard to get consistent play from that unit, and it's going to hinder the quarterback play because Russ and Justin Fields are going to be running for their lives. Russell Wilson, I'm sorry to all you Russ fans out there. The dude is washed up. Why do y'all refuse to admit it? The dude looked old and slow against the Buffalo Bills in the preseason. It's not 2016 anymore, people. It's 2024. Please wake up and realize that Russell Wilson is not good anymore. You cannot be a great player for your whole entire NFL career. Eventually, Father Time starts to catch up with you. And what has made Russell Wilson one of the best quarterbacks of the past decade has been his ability to break out of sacks and be able to play at an elite level despite having bad offensive line play. Don't sell me that excuse for why he struggled in his preseason debut with Pittsburgh last week using the offensive line, because he always had bad offensive line play for the majority of his prime years in Seattle. That's what made him so good, because he could turn negative plays into positive plays. He was Houdini with the football. But when you get old, your athleticism starts to decline. And when you lose your athletic ability, you're not going to be able to break out of sacks by defensive linemen and make those guys look stupid. You're going to have to be able to win from within the pocket. And Russ can't do that because he struggles to see the middle of the field. And I love Justin Fields. He's a great athlete. That's the only reason why he should start over Russell Wilson. Because if your offensive line is going to be inconsistent, it makes more sense to start the quarterback that can break out of sacks and still be able to give you a fighting chance to put points on the board despite the offensive line play not being good. But the flaw with Justin Fields isn't his inconsistency as a passer. It's the fact that he's been the worst quarterback in the NFL in the last 15 minutes of the game since 2021. He leads the NFL in fourth quarter turnovers. He has the lowest fourth quarter completion percentage than any other quarterback in the league since the last 3 years. You just can't trust Justin Fields in the fourth quarter, especially when you're playing from behind or even if you have a lead, because he just might choke it away for you. The most games I see the Steelers winning this year is 8. And I love Mike Tomlin. I'm not about to come back on here and say that we need to fire Mike Tomlin regardless of what happens this year. But what we do need is to finally find the answer to the Steelers' long-time quarterback woes. You're not going to go far in the postseason or even in the regular season at that with below to one of the worst quarterback play in the NFL consistently every year. Ever since the second half of 2020, when the Washington Commanders exposed the Steelers' offense in Big Ben's old age, this offense has been a complete catastrophe for over 3-4 years. This offense is so bad at times that you could watch it come on the field, go to the kitchen, get you a soda pop, warm you up something in the microwave for 45 seconds, and you come back a minute later, and the defense is right back on the field because the offense is going 3 and out. As a Steeler fan, I'm tired of this. Are y'all not? Russ is washed. If this dude was still good, Denver wouldn't have took the NFL's largest dead cap hit in league history to get rid of him. What's so hard to understand about that? Please tell me. If Russ is good, why did Denver take that large of a dead cap hit to get rid of him? Why? This dude was so bad to them that they had to just say, you know what? We don't care about the cap penalty for releasing you. Get the hell out of my locker room. We don't want you no more. This dude is playing for the veteran minimum. Does that what sounds what a still good quarterback in this league should be making? I mean, come on. Being better than Kenny Tragic, Mitchell Trubisky, and Mason Rudolph is nothing to be praising. It's not. The logic that, well, Justin Fields and Russ are better than what we had. This is like going from a 2006 Nissan Altima to going to a 2008 Kia Sonata. It's not a big difference. You're still terrible at quarterback, no matter what. This is like saying my poop is poop, but my boo-boo is still better than the poop. You get what I'm trying to say? The Steelers are in for a really rough season this year. And it's going to be really hard to watch because you're still going to see the same issue that has been persistent with this team over the last 3-4 years still be the biggest issue for why this team is getting held back. And that's because the offense is tragic. It really is. Now you don't even got two decent wide receivers. The only reliable wideout you have is George Pickens. That's it. Your offensive line is getting outclassed in the preseason. And it's like at quarterback, you got Dumb and Dumber back there. Nobody really is going to play good enough to lead you to the playoffs. And I want Justin Fields to work out in the NFL. I'm a huge Justin Fields fan. He's one of my favorite players in the league, but he is not it. This is going to be a rough season for the Pittsburgh Steelers.